Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Spiritual Spotlight series. Today, I am joined by the founder and CEO of Soul Savvy, Lauren Brollier Newton. She is an award-winning inspirational speaker and transformational coach certified through the Brave Thinking Institute. She works with organizations and individuals, helping them to build their dreams, accelerate the results, and create richer, more fulfilling lives. Thank you so much, Lauren, for joining us today. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm super happy to be here, Rachel. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about this. I know in your bio, it says that you were faced with devastating news and you kind of had to go down, you had choices either to kind of maybe let life and continue to implode or to make a more empowering decision and move forward, which is obviously what you chose. So
Yeah.
why don't you kind of walk us through the catalyst to kind of shifting into this. I really want to be a transformational coach for people.
Yeah, this is such an interesting story because I was someone who I was a school teacher. I taught school. I was married. I had a 4-bedroom house, two dogs, two cats, like very typical, like
Yeah.
white picket fence stuff happening. But internally, and I'm sure many people can relate to this,
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like, oh, my life is so lovely and, shiny. And I was struggling in two particular places. One was like, what is my purpose? I was a kid, I can remember, and I think, your listeners will relate to this. When you're a spiritual person, all your life, you're asking the question, like, why am I here? What is the
Yes.
purpose? And so life around other humans can feel foreign. Like I remember being on the playground when I was a kid and being like, why is everybody so concerned with this? Like, why is the moon in the sky? What's the meaning of life? Those kind of things. And so I was finding myself teaching school, but dissatisfied. And then in this marriage where I was also dissatisfied, and I had done the thing where you just try to shove it down, like shove it down, pretend it's not happening. I don't want to look at this today. Sometimes my mentor will say, you don't want to know what you really do know because
Ooh,
you
I
don't
love that.
have to do the thing you'd have to do if you let yourself know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I was. So I go on this journey. A friend of mine gave me a book because she knew I was teaching school, but I was trying to earn money on the side because I didn't make any money as a teacher. And so I was trying to earn money on the side and I was struggling in this side business and I just gotten married. And she hands me this book and she's like, you should read this book. I think you'll like it. And in the book, it talked about affirmations. And I had never been big on affirmations before. But the way that this author described it is if you have to repattern your brain to believe a new story. And for whatever reason, that just really landed with me. And so I started saying these affirmations. And my affirmations were about this side business I was trying to do, but also about this marriage that I was suffering in. I felt very alone in the marriage. I had just gotten married. So now I'm embarrassed because I'm a newlywed and everybody's like, oh, newlyweds. And I'm feeling alone. And so I started saying affirmations and they went just exactly like this. I wake up every day with passion and purpose. I help other people build their dreams and I generate 20,000 a month doing it.
I love
Now
this.
that was an ambitious affirmation. At the
No,
point I
I
was,
love it. It's powerful.
and so then the other three affirmations for my relationship were my husband and I grow deeper in love every day. We're affectionate with one another. We build dreams together. And for whatever reason, I just was able to get on this track of saying these affirmations repeatedly, multiple times a day. I would drive to work, I'd say these affirmations. I'd drive home, I'd say these affirmations. And nothing really happened at first. But then like little sprouts of things like one day I woke up and I was a little bit more peppy and I'm like, oh, maybe this is waking up every day with passion and purpose. Like maybe something's happening with these affirmations. And then where life took a downturn, or it seemed to me in the moment, was 40 days into saying my affirmations. My husband came home and he walked into this little den I was working in on school stuff. And he said to me, I don't think I'm happy. And I said, like, I had my stomach dropped, it's like, what? I said, are you not happy with life? You're not happy with me? And he just said, you're not my dream girl.
Whoa. Okay, that's tough.
And then I mean, you can imagine, right?
I'd be shocked.
Shocked. I'm married for only a year. I mean, there's seriously like wedding gifts still in the boxes. We've just gone through this wedding. We've been together for 7 years. And he just says, you're not my dream girl. And then he gives me a list of everything that a dream girl would have that I didn't have. You're not fit enough. You're lazy. You watch too much TV. You don't make enough money. You're this, you're that. You don't like hiking. We had no whatever. whatever the list was.
I cannot. I have chills up and down my body. Wow. What did you
Yeah.
do?
You know, it's
Besides not go on
interesting.
Dateline.
No, it's interesting, Rachel. It's so funny that you say Dateline. This is your intuitive sense because in the moment I played tough.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to see, at first I was like, he's not going to see my emotions. And then I was just kind of like, well, maybe I'm not your dream girl. But of course, as the conversation goes on, I'm devastated. I'm distraught. He
Yeah.
leaves. And then I'm just in the house by myself. And when people say, you know, your life flashes before your eyes, it's like, what's going to happen with these house, these dogs, my
Yeah.
life? I mean, everything. Well, a couple weeks later, through a series of events, I found out that he had been living a double life. So when you say Dateline, you totally just cued into that because I often make the joke, like I felt like, okay, I'm like on 2020 now, like where has my life gone? And you know, the devastating part about it, Rachel, is you can get angry at the person. Like it wasn't like
Yeah.
I wasn't angry at him. I raged, all those things. But I think the greatest spiritual awakening of that moment in time was when he gave me that list of things that he said a dream girl would have that I didn't have. Internally, I agreed with him.
Mm.
And I never realized how low like my self-image or self-worth was until I was racking my brain going over that list he gave me that night he left and thinking, he's right. And it was one of those things where I was surprised by that revelation. I was just
Yeah.
surprised at that low sense of myself, but it made perfect sense at the same time if I thought about relationship history, how I felt about myself. And so when I found out he lived the double life, I think the thing that also surprised me was, yes, I was angry at him, of course, but I was more like angry with myself, not seeing the signs or not wanting to see the signs, or I had kept shoving down what I knew all along, sort of spiritually. And so it was not a coincidence at all, because I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah.
That 2 days before my husband left, a friend had invited me to this personal development seminar in Los Angeles.
I love
And I
it.
had said yes. And then when my husband left, I thought to myself, you know what? I think I need to go to this. This is going to be good for me because I have no life right now. I lost my house. I lost my dogs. I couldn't take care of them.
Yeah.
I moved back into with my parents and literally lived in their basement. And my whole life was a question mark at that moment in time. And that's when I found myself at that personal development seminar. And it is there that I got this idea and this bug inside of me. This just it wouldn't leave me alone to be a life coach. Now, the rational mind is going, who in the hell is going to want to get coached by a broke, divorced school teacher living in their parents' basement?
A lot of people.
I mean,
I mean, honestly,
yes,
you've been through it. You understand it. You have empathy for it.
Exactly. In that moment, it was so hard for me to get myself to say yes, because the rational mind, the logical mind is like, who's going to want to, you know, all those voices of doubt.
Yeah.
And remember at that time, I didn't have a strong sense of self.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. You gave your power away.
Yes. But since then, everybody's wanted to get coached by the broke divorce school teacher. So what I've really watched in my own coaching and within people is 5 years later, it's only been 5 years since that happened. 5 years later, I could still be blaming. I could still be talking about him and what he did and what a victim I was and everything. But the spiritual path is one of more growth than that.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you chose to take the road less traveled. And you chose from, like you just said, you were handed this devastating outcome with this relationship that you took vows and maybe thought that, hey, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this person, even though you internally kind of shoved it down. I would think rationally, you're like, okay, I'm going to make this work. You're doing affirmations, you're doing everything you can.
Yes.
And then, like you said, you could still be better, angry.
Yep.
You know, really just men suck. Like, you know, like everything. And yet you're like, no, I'm going to follow my intuitive sense. You know, I'm going to go out to this personal development seminar in Los Angeles. And then that's probably where you met your coach and everything like that. And then it probably just, I would imagine this energy really accelerated very quickly to kind of
100%.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
I started Soul Savvy 6 weeks after I found out that my husband lived a double life.
I love that. And I think this lesson for a lot of people is that you're going to hit roadblocks. There are going to be moments in time where you're really, like you said, you were devastated. And a lot of people have these moments, and you chose to empower yourself and move forward. And now you provide transformational coaching for all of your amazing clients. And you're probably like, hey, I've been there and this is what I did.
Yeah. And it's great because it's like when you are on a spiritual path yourself, there's always something that you can bring. Cause it's not like, oh, my spiritual growth, ended once I got over that.
Oh
it's
God,
like,
no.
if you keep endeavoring forward, there's always a story to tell to help someone else.
Yeah.
And so, the crazy fast forward on that story of the affirmations is if you think about what my affirmations were, I wake up every day with passion and purpose. I help other people build their dreams, and I generate $20,000 doing it a month. That didn't come true in the side gig that I was having, but those affirmations I held absolutely above and beyond came true. And if you think about the relationship affirmations, my husband and I grow deeper in love every day. We build dreams together. We're affectionate with one another. When my husband left, you'll love this. When he left, that's the next day I took the day off work because I was like so sick to my stomach and just destroyed. And a friend who didn't know what I was going through, I hadn't told anyone at that time, randomly sent me a text message because she knew I liked spiritual quotes and things like that. And the quote said, "Don't be surprised at how quickly the universe will move with you once you have decided."
Amen.
And when I opened that, it was like, it's not like I wasn't devastated or all of a sudden, rainbows and unicorns came out or anything like that. But I read the quote and I thought to myself, okay, I've been saying these affirmations for 40 days.
Yeah.
The untrained mind would say they didn't come true. But what if I'm saying my husband and I grow deeper in love, we're affectionate with one another. If he's not that person, the universe absolutely delivered me exactly the answer to that affirmation and prayer.
I'm a firm believer of this or something better. And
100%.
we have to, one of the things that I like to say is that the how, that's not up to us. How it comes to us, that's the universe to provide that for us. And for you, I would imagine it's a wonderful, beautiful new relationship.
Oh yeah. I'm married to my husband is my favorite person on the planet. I love him so much. We do build dreams together. He's a part of Soul Savvy full time. We both work together in Soul Savvy. He's a certified coach. We moved from California to the Rocky Mountains of Wyoming together, and we're living out that dream. So my affirmations absolutely came true.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want it any other way. And in terms of the healing for my former husband, when I'm telling this story, when I do workshops and things like that, it's common that the audience wants to villainize him. And I always say, don't make him the villain, because the most loving moment that we ever had was the day he came home and left.
And at least he was honest.
Skillful. Yes, exactly. I was shoving it down. He was like transparent.
Right.
So let's send a wave of love to him wherever he is and say, thank you for the growth.
And thank you for the lesson that you learned from it. We're going to be hit with lessons in life, and some of them are going to be hard and tough to deal with, and you can either choose to learn from that lesson, or that same lesson is going to keep coming back, and then slamming you in the face.
That's right.
I find it's fascinating. I'm sure you get this with coaching, how you're like, I see that repeating pattern.
I see it in myself. I see it in my clients. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Pema Chodron was famous for saying, nothing will go away until it's taught you what it has to teach you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's true.
And that is so true.
And there are times where you're like, you may not get it the first time, the second time, the 50th time. And that's fascinating. So going into like becoming an inspirational speaker and a transformational coach, like what kind of ahas did you have before you started working with clients as you were going through this amazing training?
I think one of the greatest, there's two that come to me. The first thing is that my mentor, who I saw very first time at that seminar in Los Angeles, she said that the infinite universe, spirit, God, whatever word you want to put on it, is speaking to you every day through two distinct signals. And she said those signals are longing and discontent.
Ooh, that's powerful.
And
I'm
most
having a
people,
moment on that. That's
yeah,
powerful. That's so true though.
because most of us have been trained to shove those down. Oh, I'm not going to think about that.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I should just be happy with what I have. And so we ignore the longings and discontents, and then they symptomize. They keep
Yes.
symptomizing disease, illness, unhappiness, depression, stress, burnout. They'll symptomize and symptomize until we listen to them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's all that happened to me. It was just longing and discontent symptomized into
Yeah.
divorce and disarray.
That's fast. And then one of the things that I like to say is that God doesn't put these desires in my heart unless they weren't meant to come true. That for me is the
Exactly.
longing. The
That's exactly.
discontent, I'm gonna have to, I gotta look at that a little bit deeper. That's like that's one you gotta dig in a little bit on.
I like to call them, she calls them signals. I like to call them soul instructions.
Yes.
Because when you feel discontent, let me unpack the discontent a
Yes,
little
please.
bit. It's like when I was living in California, I hated it. I mean, just complete transparency. It was too busy. Too many people, too much traffic, and I hated it. So
I'm sorry. I don't know why I find that so funny, but she's like, I hated it. That's like me.
Yeah,
like
I mean, it was strong. Like I had a strong emotion around it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but wait a second. That's a discontent, right? I don't like the traffic. I don't like this. I don't like that. I'm the one not doing anything with it. I have the choice to go anywhere I would love to go.
Yeah.
And so discontent is an instruction. It's like, okay, if I'm not in love with this, let me at least see, is this just me negative thinking? And it's really just like I've gotten myself into a stinking thinking spiral, or is there a longing on my heart that I haven't acknowledged? And so this discontent is bubbling up to give me an in.
That's so true. That's so
yeah.
true. I used to think I was a city girl. This is really off topic, but I used to think I was a city girl, and now I live in the country in upstate New York. And now when I go to the city, I'm like, it's just too noisy. It's too busy. Like I can't spiritually be clear in a city, guys.
I mean, I am a small town girl. I've always felt that way since I was a young kid. I live in Northwest Wyoming by Yellowstone.
Ooh,
and
beautiful.
It's funny, this is totally off topic, but when I first moved here, we have a lot of deer in our neighborhood. We'll have like a 20, 30 deer just like stroll through the yard. And the first time a deer got close to my window, I was working at my computer. I thought someone was robbing my house because I saw something close to the window. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my house is getting robbed.
Sir, step away from the house, sir.
I'm like, okay, we're not in California anymore. It's a deer. You're good.
That is fascinating. So you were able to learn those lessons. And then let's say, if you can share, and maybe some of these are, if they're private, have you had any like aha moments with your clients that you've gone through like a powerful transformation with them? And you're like, oh my gosh, like they're going to hit the ground running with that.
Oh my gosh.
So many.
So many. It's just, because awareness is something that most of us were not trained in, self-awareness, spiritual awareness, connection to infinite spirit. I mean, most of us were not trained in that.
No.
And so, I'll give you a perfect example of a client that comes to my mind. So I have a client still to this day, but when we very first started working together, she was in a very high power career. And typical like golden handcuff scenario. I can't leave because I'm supporting my family. I'm the breadwinner. I'm the this, I'm the that. And it was so hard for her in the beginning to connect to something more. It was just very like stress to-do list. And I believe that, I tend to work with people who actually aren't spiritual until they get to me, which is a very interesting thing. They're very practical, they're hardworking, but they know there's something, they just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I have the privilege with so many people of introducing them to the concept of spirit for the first time, which I love. But anyway, with her, I said, okay, wave a magic wand. You can do anything. You can be anything. I'm not going to make you do it. Nobody's going to do it, but just connect to a greater part of you that wants something and tell me what the image is that comes to your mind. And it was so simple and so beautiful. And she was like, I just want to pick my kid up from school.
That's so powerful though.
And I mean, yeah, it sounds so simple, but it's like when you've not allowed yourself to hear from any
Mm-hmm.
part of you
Mm-hmm.
that's more, and you finally let yourself know that, like that's a powerful moment. So she was so afraid if I hate my work, but I'm the breadwinner, all this stuff. And so I asked her a question. And the question was, what if you could work half and make double? And she was like, yeah, what? No, that doesn't happen on this planet. Like
Yes, it does.
it happens every day, all the time. So I love those questions where you can actually see that
Yeah.
you've just blown someone's mind because they've never even considered a question like that. It's not a
Wow.
particularly spiritual question, but it is a spiritual question because
Yeah.
we're in an infinite universe with infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
Literally any possibility that could exist does exist. And
Absolutely.
so to see the spark of someone who hasn't let themselves ever connect with that go, Lauren believes that that's possible for me. And to spark on that and to start living into it and getting bolder and dreaming more. I mean, that's just one example of a moment where their whole life changed.
Yeah.
They never entertained a greater possibility for themselves. And now here they are. And the fast forward on her story is she went on to start her own business. She does pick her little girl up from school. She does do all those things, but she makes quadruple, quadruple,
I love
and
that.
isn't selling her soul for it.
I love that. And you helped her to find the roadmap and just
Right.
be daring to ask yourself, is it okay for me to have more?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of us get, and it's because I think it's fascinating that you get people that haven't quite tapped into their spiritual sense yet. So I would imagine you're getting a lot of people that still have their blinders on. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like they're just probably in hustle, 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 hustle.
Yes.
I have to work so hard to be able to make ends meet, and I've got to compromise my whole entire life. And
Yes.
then you get them and you're like, let's break this down.
Yeah. And it's so great because I love uh, translating in whatever language the client speaks.
Oh, yeah.
I just love to meet them where they are and
Mm,
introduce them to a different concept, but very gently in ways that they relate to.
absolutely.
And yeah, so I do get a lot of people who they are very much in their left brain, in their intellect, in their figure it out spreadsheet mode. And then I'm the person who's gently like, so let's talk about the infinite. Let's talk about everything as it is. Let's talk about
Yeah.
the universe. But I think that my teaching is practical enough that there's like
Mm.
an access point to them before we get there,
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like yes, I'm a very spiritual person, and a lot of my healing, I have healing modalities and whatnot that I'm trained in. But I'm also a registered nurse who runs a doctor's office. So I'm glad that I'm able to kind of have the spreadsheets and because you
Yes.
do have to have the practical kind of know-how for me to be able to kind of tap into infinite and to divine. It's almost like you have to be okay to be able to trust yourself, to open yourself up to more like
Yes.
divine messaging.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I love it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Soul Savvy?
Yeah. So, the soul savvy is the idea, and it goes perfectly with what we were just talking
Mm,
about, that you do not have to be broke to be spiritual. You don't
mm,
have to struggle to be
mm.
spiritual. You don't have to suffer to be
It's like
spiritual.
about poverty to be spiritual.
Exactly. So that's where the savvy comes in. So what I noticed in my life prior to founding Soul Savvy as a trend was there was a group of us, and I was in this group, spiritual but broke, spiritual but suffering at everybody else's behalf,
Yes.
you know,
Always giving, not being
giving,
filled. Yes.
the type, right? So the
Yes.
soulful but not savvy.
Yes.
Then I would meet the savvy folks and they'd be like, I drive my Tesla, I have my high powered job, I got my big house, I got my this. But they would say things like, I leave my soul at the door when I go to work.
Ooh, so you're blending these two together.
So I'm like, there cannot be in an infinite universe. You got to be soulful or you got to be savvy.
Yeah.
There has to be a way to bridge. And so the definition of soul savvy to me is helping people harness their spiritual nature in service of this beautiful human life where you are going to want to drive the car and do the fun things and go to Disneyland and, make love. And,
Yeah.
like be spiritual, but honor the fact that in physical life, we want physical things.
It is okay to want things. And I love the fact that you blend soul and savvy together, because you're right. I know a lot of spiritual people, and it's like, well, if I just live of the earth and I have no material objects, and it's like, no, I want to have a nice house. I want to have nice things. I want to be able to have an energetic exchange for my services. I want to be valued. I want to have my connection to divine, but I also want to be savvy.
Yeah, because otherwise we could have just stayed in the spirit realm. I mean, why would we come here if not to
Right.
experience the physical?
Right. I
So,
mean, one of the reasons why we incarnate is to experience things,
yes.
Divine beings. This is like from angel talk. All right. So I work with the angels a lot.
Yes.
They don't experience, their senses. They can't smell, they can't feel, they can't taste. One of our human experiences is just to experience life.
Yes.
I want to be able to have, like you said, make love and have the wind blowing in my hair because I'm driving in my convertible around the coast.
Yes.
I also need material. I just had a conversation the other day with my spirit guides, and I said, look, if you want me to get my message out more, I need material funds.
Yes. Show me the steps for this.
Show me the money.
Yes. Yes. No. Okay. So let me share with you this
Sure.
feeling of the physical. I think this is like one of the most beautiful. So it's from the movie, not the movie, the play Our Town, Thornton Wilder play Our Town. And Emily in the play is the main character, and she dies. But she gets to, I know, and she gets to come back and live just one day of her physical life.
Ooh.
And she's actually observing her funeral and watching all these things. And then this narrator guy comes in and says, you can live one day of your life. And she picks her 12th birthday. So she goes back and she gets to relive this day. And she wakes up in the morning and she runs to the top of the stairs and she stops. And she can smell the coffee, because see, now she's not dead anymore. She's back and she can actually smell coffee. And she can hear the sound of her mom putting butter on a dry piece of toast. And she can hear her father reading the newspaper, like rustling the pages. And she stops at the top of the stairs and she says, oh, life, doesn't anyone know how wonderful you are while they're actually living it?
So many people don't.
That's my goal.
I think that is a phenomenal goal. And I think it is something even spiritual people struggle with, because they spend a lot of time, trying to be connected up with the different realms and, everything else. And it's like, no, like you need to ground into Mother Earth, into this physical plane, and experience life. That's one of I firmly believe one of my missions, everyone's missions life, is just to experience life. As simple as that may sound, is just to experience life. And it's funny. It's not funny, actually. I did a session a couple months ago with a lady, and she's like, why are you putting your life on hold, waiting for the future when you need to be living for today? Like, and it's like, it was a reminder to me, because even I'm like, I'm a spiritual person and whatnot, but then I'm like, you're right. Like, why am I putting myself through the stress when I need to live for today? In this moment of now, and be fully present in this moment of now. And I think because we're constantly, and you probably have to go through this with your clients, we're constantly distracted. We've got our cell phones, we got our TVs, we got our partner, we got the noise of the city, but we don't have that. I mean, there's constant stimulation, and it's like our nervous system's on overload. And I think that's got to be kind of, do you ever find that to be a struggle when you're going through with some of your clients and kind of helping them get over that?
One of the first things that I do with all my clients, and it's a continuous process as long as they're in a system of study with me, is really teach them how the nervous system functions.
Oh, I love that.
Because if you don't know how the nervous system functions, you will spend your life with it in the driver's seat rather than your consciousness in the driver's seat.
Right.
Because the nervous system, it's a very strong feeling when the nervous system gets taxed. And then you think it's like an omen or something. And it's like, no, you literally just got overloaded with your nervous system. So I really like to share my clients how the nervous system works, how to get it back into parasympathetic or rest, digest, create state. And when you really can't make a decision or know anything when you're in a place of fight, flight, or freeze, which most of us are in constantly in Western society.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big part of it, is really helping them see how the nervous system reacts. In particular, that the nervous system is programmed, just biologically programmed, to alert us anytime anything is unknown.
Yeah.
And if you're ever going to break into new, more beautiful experiences, it's going to be unknown. So usually when someone starts living into a new vision or a new dream or something they would love to create or a new pattern of life, the first thing that's going to come up is your nervous system saying, don't you get too big for your britches now. And if you don't know that that's going to happen, you'll take it as a sign from God that you're not supposed to move forward or something. And it's like, no, your nervous system is just simply alerting you, this is new. Are you sure you want to proceed? And then consciousness says, yes, I want to proceed.
Right.
And it can be that simple.
It can be. I think as a society, we're used to being uncomfortable, and that becomes our comfort level. Like you said, we shove things down and we suppress things, and then we live in this state of being uncomfortable. And then to have this, oh my goodness, I can have a new life, I can have new dreams. And it's like, ooh, but the idea of having a more life of surrender and ease and grace and flow is kind of, ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah, because it's there when you haven't been ever given permission to think that way. A lot of us get triggered by a shame or a guilt feeling of, who am I to want more? I should just be grateful for what I have. There's starving children all around the world. We get ourselves into these stories that somehow, if I suffer more, that's going to help suffering people. And it's like, wait a second. If I suffer more, I'm just adding to the vibration of suffering all around the world.
How are you going to heal the world and the planet if you're not consciously making the decision to raise your vibration and to bring more healing for others and for yourself?
And you can't raise your vibration withholding from yourself.
No, it's so true. Like you brought up a good point before about your client, how she just wanted to pick up her child from school. I remember when I used to work for an assisted living, and I wasn't even able to go to my grandparents' funeral, and it's like, I mean, now I'm able to look back at that and be like, oh my goodness, like the shame and the, not giving myself permission to even take a day off. Like, and it's so sad as a society, as we're kind of, and especially in the United States, we have this hustle bustle, always have to be on the go mentality. And I would imagine your work is also just kind of dismantling that thought process and showing you, look, you can have more. Yeah.
I'm often sharing with my clients, and this is one of the most challenging things that I take them through, is when you look at your calendar, you should be in love with every single thing on it.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you feel a sense of constriction when you look at your calendar, there's that signal of discontent or longing. And the quicker you address it, the better. So I'm constantly working, especially with my clients who work very closely with me. Let's look at that. Is there any place on your calendar where you feel yourself shrinking? And then the first response is always, but Lauren, we can't just love everything we do. I'm like, well, who taught you that? Let's unpack. Why not? Who told you that? So yes.
That is so true. And tell me, you offer a different varieties of working with you. You have in-person seminars, workshops, and one-on-one life coaching. If somebody is listening to this, like, and I know we're going to go over a free gift that you have for the listeners, and in just a moment, how might somebody what would you direct them to first? Like, hey, you should try this first.
It depends on where they are. I mean, there's some people who, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, they're at a 20 in terms of, I want change and I want it yesterday. And then it's like, well, get yourself into a more intensive coaching program with me. And we have when I say more intensive, it runs the gamut. I mean, there's all sorts of ways to start that, but transformation doesn't happen overnight. Doesn't mean you can't feel better, but like the actual pattern of life changing, that takes time. And so I would say, if you're just someone who, I'm not a 10 on the scale of, in terms I want to change, but I do know there's more for me, then we have great programs that are super low price, like $39, $67, $99, where I give you keys to start to access the part of you that wants more. And so it really just, I would say, download the freebie for sure, because that's like so good. And I'll explain it in a moment. But then if you're curious, reach out to me and say, here's like, me in a nutshell, what do you recommend? And I will always lead you to the thing that's going to work. And if I don't think I have something that's going to work, I will refer you to someone that I believe has what you're looking for.
And I love the fact that you have integrity to be able to say, I may not be the right coach for you.
You might not resonate with me.
That's so true.
And that's okay, because everybody has a resonance that should be listened to, that Rachel might be right for you. Lauren might be right for you. This person over here might be right. You have to feel like this person's speaking my language.
I love that. So tell us about the free self-confidence motivation meditation.
Okay. So it's really not a meditation in that you're not going to lay down.
I'm just kidding.
You're not going to lay down and listen. The reason I call it a motivating meditation is because it will do for your nervous system and your subconscious mind what a lay down meditation will do. But I call it a motivating meditation because it is a stream of consciousness. If you had unshakable confidence in yourself and in spirit, these are the thoughts you'd be thinking. And so this meditation is a stream of me speaking the thoughts that you would be thinking, feeling, to super empowering music. And I suggest listening to this every single morning. It's 11 minutes long. I believe this one's 11 minutes long. It's super powerful. And it just changes the way that you start to see the world. So do an experiment with it. Do it for 7 days every day. And then, tell me what you think.
I think it almost sounds like an attunement, like getting your energetic body into alignment.
I love that. I love that description of it. I would say accurate. Yes.
That's perfect. Okay. Couple more questions. Do you have any new affirmations that you say to yourself now that you wouldn't mind sharing?
Ooh, yes, I do. Okay. So I'm quite rigorous with myself. So this may or may not land with other people.
I love affirmations. So I'm so excited.
Okay. So the ones that I'm currently using are, and this is a body image one. So this is very personal to me. So like,
I'm sorry if you don't want to share.
No, I'm happy to share, but I just want to say like, this might not be an affirmation for the masses, but in full transparency, this is what I'm using. So I've been using, I am tan, fit, beautiful, and abundant.
Love it.
My body knows it and my body shows it.
I say I'm fit, sexy, wealthy, and free.
So we're on the same page. Yes, we're totally on the same page. And my other favorite one that I've been using lately, which I think is really great for everyone, and my clients have been using it and loving it. It is, I am so happy and grateful now that I have perfect health, unshakable confidence, and an abundance of time and money freedom.
Ooh, I felt that coming in. That's powerful.
Okay. So then the second sentence is, so I'm so happy and grateful now that I have perfect health, unshakable confidence, and abundance of time and money freedom. And then the second sentence is, I easily attract the right people, ideas, experiences, and opportunities to bring me to, and then you insert a goal. It could be a money goal. It could be a relationship goal. It could be whatever, by, and then you give it a date.
That's powerful.
And I love that because then you're calling in spirit guides, angels, people, whatever it is, the right people, ideas, experiences, and opportunities to support me in this goal.
I love that. One of my favorite affirmations is, my work is of high service and worthy of massive compensation.
My work is of high service and worthy of massive compensation. Is that what she said? Yes. I love that. Yeah. I love that. It's coming to my mind recently. I haven't memorized this one, but I have it right here.
Yeah.
For anyone that's in a discovery, I thought this was so good. I wrote it down and underlined it. For anyone that's in a discovery phase or looking for their purpose or wanting to be compensated for their gifts and talents, I loved this one. It says, I share my gifts and talents in a way that reflects the best in all areas of my life.
Ooh, I love that. Love it, love it, love it.
I thought that was a great one.
Guys, I'm going to be writing down all these affirmations. I'm going to be saying them every morning. I love that.
I love them.
Do you have, before we wrap this up, any piece of advice that you have for maybe somebody who has that burning question inside of them? What is my purpose? And am I meant for more in this life? What would be like maybe one tidbit of advice that you can give to them?
I would say this. I don't believe any of our purpose is to be a doctor or a lawyer or a life coach or the CEO of Soul Savvy or an angel reader or whatever it is. I don't believe profession is purpose. I believe, one of my favorite Rumi quotes, he says, It's as if a king has sent you from a far and distant land to do one specific task. And you could do 1,000 other things while you're here. But if you don't do the one thing for which he sent you, it will feel like you've done nothing.
Amen.
So what I think the thing is, it's not be a doctor, be a teacher, be a lawyer.
Yeah.
The one thing is becoming the fullest expression of you as a unique being. You're the only one of you in the whole history of the universe and the whole future. It's becoming the full expression of that.
Yes.
And so what I would say to someone who has no idea what their purpose is, I would say, get passionate about, make your purpose finding your purpose. Like, get purposeful about the next thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the ultimate life purpose. You already have your ultimate life purpose, and that's being you. You're the only one.
Right.
So now let's just get excited about being passionate and purposeful about whatever the next thing pulling me is, that next longing.
Yeah. I always say, what is my next divine aligned action to take?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
because ultimately, I believe this lifetime is all about love and growth. If you're loving and you're growing, you are on purpose.
I would 100% agree with you. When I've shifted into that kind of feeling and being, my whole life got a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for coming on the Spiritual Spotlight series. It was a pleasure to talk with you today, and I am so excited to hear from you in the future. And everyone, take care and have a great day.